Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to this video on exploring cognitive biases. So today I'm going live from somewhere randomly in the middle of the Peak District. Forgive any background noises and such, but I was in the middle of a trek and there was no way I was going to make it back for 9, so I decided I would find somewhere I can come and go live for you guys. Hi, thanks for watching. Hello everyone that's watching. More interesting. Yes, Emma, I am on my Holly Bobs. Well, it's not actually a holiday particularly, it's a business retreat where I'm working on some stuff for me and my business going forward, which is really cool. And yes, I can make an exception for this because I've got my loyal fans, I've got you guys, waiting to hear more about cognitive biases. Hello, John. Morning, Pumpkin. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Maria. Anyway, so for anyone who's watching for the first time, I'm doing a whole series of videos exploring cognitive biases. You can find out more. Of course, I'm still going live. You can find out more on my YouTube channel. It's probably the easiest way, or my Facebook page, whichever way you prefer to consume content. If you have no idea what a cognitive bias is and what I'm talking about, check out the introduction video that I did first before I started the weekly videos. Again, check out my Facebook page or YouTube channel. I'll pop the links in after, or Tristan will probably do it for me because he's really good like that. Yes, you can host StreamYard from a phone, Higgs. So I had it set up previously on desktop and then just jumped on via my phone. Anyway, so today's cognitive bias, I'm talking about the hard, easy effect. So cognitive biases, for anyone who doesn't know anything at all, they're basically shortcuts that we take mentally to make our decision-making processes easier, only sometimes they lead to us making very bad decisions. And yeah, ultimately, the decisions that we make are hugely influenced by different biases that we may not even be completely aware of. One of the best ways to make better decisions is to be aware of these biases, and if we're aware of these biases, that means we can control for them and make slightly better decisions, basically. So this one is the hard, easy effect, and this is an interesting one. So, you must all have seen at some point, I'm sure, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or similar quiz shows. And morning, Anne. And when you watch these kinds of quiz shows, so Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is a great example. To begin with, the questions are really, really easy questions. But have you noticed how many people stumble and trip up on those really, really easy questions at the beginning? And they doubt themselves and they're not sure. But then as the show goes on, those questions at the end, they're all, that's bright, isn't it? The questions at the end, they are an awful lot harder. And yet people tend to use less lifelines than they should use when they get further along. But tend to use them up quite early on, even though they probably know the answer, but they're just not sure and they want to be safe. That's a great example of the hard, easy effect in action. So it's very simple. Basically, stuff that is easy, we tend to actually be underconfident in our abilities to perform those tasks, answer those questions in this case. And tasks that are actually relatively a lot more difficult, we tend to be overconfident with. We tend to think that we're going to be fine, it'll be easy. So it's not just quiz show questions, but this is true in life in general. Well, I say this is true. Now there's an interesting one. So obviously I talk a lot about cognitive biases. Some of them have a lot more evidence and facts behind them than others. This has been, well, it was first proposed, I think, back in the 50s, within kind of a whole other theory. And then it's been reported on. There was a big study in the 70s, 77, I think, and a few other instances since then. And it does tend to stand up reasonably well, but this is one of those biases where there are still a lot of questions and debate as to how valid it is and how much it could be down to, so there's other biases which I may cover in the future in this series, one of which is overconfidence bias. Then you've also got experiment bias and various other ones that this could relate to more so than just the hard easy effect. But whether it's it's fair, it's safe to assume to an extent that it's true, because it still helps us be aware for and control for it. And there are lots of studies that show that it is the case. Oh, thanks, Tristan. I knew I could rely on you. What a legend. Thank you for sharing that link. So the YouTube link is in the comments below. Thank you. Yes, so assuming that it's true makes it easier for us to be aware of our actions and control for it if it is real. And if it turns out that it's not and it's influenced by other things, surely it's still good that we're aware of the way that we're thinking and that it could have an impact. Even if it's caused by something else, we're still aware of it, so it's still a benefit. So traps that you can fall into with this would be overestimating your ability with difficult things. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That gives us some real advantage, because what it means is that if we're overconfident that we're going to be able to achieve that difficult thing, we're more likely to go for it. And here's the thing, you might not achieve it the first time, but with the right attitude and the right mindset around it, that's okay, because you can always get it right next time. You can learn from those mistakes and you can grow. So having that overconfidence to do difficult things allows you to grow into that confidence to a point. So that's kind of cool. And then the flip side of it, the easier part of the hard easy effect, being unconfident about things that you're actually going to be fairly good at just jumping into and doing quite well at. Obviously, it holds people back, and it tends to hold people back from starting something. Or you get people kind of like me, actually, who go, yeah, I can do this amazing big thing. And then they plan it, or they have that big overview, but then they look at the detail and the little stuff that you need to do to get there, and they go, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that. That sounds like far too much work. Does that sound familiar? Have you experienced something like that in the past at some point? Simply control for it by recognizing that those little things aren't actually as difficult as you might think. Just by being aware of that, it gives you the ability to decide, actually, no, I'm going to take some action to make this happen. And particularly if this is sort of, regardless of what situation it's in, get other people on board. If you're in that place where you've got this big idea and you're confident about it, and then you look at the little steps and you're not so sure, speak to other people about it, get their input, get their opinion. Because they're more likely to have a greater faith in your ability to do the little things, and maybe less faith in your ability to do the big things, because they're looking at it from a more neutral standpoint. So two things really to overcome any challenges and difficulties that may get in the way from the hard easy effect. The first, as with all of the biases I've discussed, is to be aware of it. When you're aware of it, you can just be more mindful of the decisions that you're making and how you're making them. And the other is to talk to other people about it, because other people will absolutely G you on and support you with the easy stuff, because they know you can do it. And the difficult, tricky stuff, well, is it really that bad to be overconfident? So long as you're aware of the fact that it could be an overconfidence, and therefore you don't get, because the problem there is that it's very easy to then become extremely deflated when it doesn't work out. So the trick there is just to embrace the learning opportunities from that situation. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. So yeah, Sarah is saying she's a great example of that. She sees the big picture. She's got those great ideas, the confidence that she can pull that off. And actually, it's Sarah. She's pulled stuff like big stuff off before. She's very capable of it. And then when it comes to looking at the detail, it becomes rather overwhelming. And yeah, overwhelm is a scary thing. The best way to deal with overwhelm, by far, more than anything else, is start by having a conversation with someone. And of course, if you find that you experience extreme versions of this or related things, then get in touch with someone who can help you. That could be me, it could be anyone else out there. But there are lots of people that can help you to work on, adjust your mindset, the way you approach situations, and give you the tools that you need for yourself to be able to approach that stuff differently. So I've been Duncan Price from Mind Affinity. Please like and subscribe. You're meant to say that at the end of these videos, right? yeah, follow me on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching this, really. And if there's anything I can do to help you, or if you've got any thoughts of other challenges that get in your way, then please do give me a shout, and maybe I'll feature them in a future video. Do people tend to do one more than the other, or both at different times? Good question, Adele. Thank you for that. So here's the interesting thing: the studies that are most valid, or appear most valid, when you look into them, show that it doesn't matter what personality type you have, or what field you work in, or what kind of person you are at all. Really, we all experience this in different ways and to different extents, I guess. But it affects people. So people who are generally very, very confident, overtly confident people, have the same effect from this as sort of like extroverts, for example, compared to introverts who maybe would be more shy and questioning. People with low self-esteem still tend to be unconfident in their ability to do easy things and more confident in their ability to do difficult things. As to whether we do one more than the other, that's a hard comparison to make, I'd say, especially as there will be other influences at play. I would have to research that a little bit more to give you an accurate answer. But in my experience and the things that I've worked with, yeah. So here's another example of how you can overcome it, right? Here's another real life thing that I've done and replicated a number of times in different ways. It wasn't my idea, I stole it from someone else. But I've done this at some of my talks and workshops. It's an anagram challenge. And I've got a room full of people all sat at different tables, and I give everyone a little sheet with 3 words on it, and they need to find the anagrams. It's very easy. The first anagram, well, it's easy for some. It's really difficult for others. And that's because I cheat. That's because I give half the room really, really easy to the first 2 anagrams, really, really easy. And I give the other half of the room to really, really impossible, because there is no other word that you can find by rearranging the letters. So the first one is tab, which of course can be bat, and then the second word is lemon, which could of course be melon, and then the third one is the same word on both pages, and the other half of the room have words that they can't actually make an anagram from. And I get them to do it all together, and we start. And I say, okay, you're just going to have 30 seconds or whatever to complete the first one, and then we'll move on to the second one. Don't worry if you don't get the first one. We'll just move on to the next one, and we'll keep going. And I get everyone started. Of course, half the room are like, yeah, that's easy. The other half of the room are really struggling. And then I ask them to move on. And those people in the first group, in the second group, the group that don't have easy words, they get frustrated that they haven't managed to complete the first one, and then they get frustrated that they haven't managed to complete the second, and the third word is the same for them, but the vast majority of them don't manage to find the anagram. It is a more difficult word than the other 2, because they've already now got that expectation that they're not going to achieve it. The other group do really well the first time, do really well the second time. This is really easy. So then they have more confidence in themselves, and they believe in their ability to complete the third, which is quite interesting. See, part of that would be the perceived ability and how confident they are in their ability. Because the easy stuff is that easy that they're able to find it, that overcomes that initial part of the problem, and then leads them onto that boost of confidence for the harder stuff down the line. So that doesn't necessarily entirely answer your question, Adele, and it's not exclusively down to the hard easy effect. There's a lot of other thoughts at play there, but yeah, that can be an interesting way to get around it, is to do some of the simple easy stuff, build your confidence in the easier things. So if you're in the camp of being overwhelmed, for example, Anne Morris, for example, is giving us a shout about that. Oh, hang on. That should hopefully make the wind a bit better. Let me know if that's okay. Thank you for letting me know, Tristan. Yes, so if you are finding yourself getting overwhelmed, just do some of the little things, some of the easiest little things, and that'll start to boost your confidence with the little things, and that'll help you keep your confidence for the big thing in mind afterwards. Anyway, don't want to risk the wind getting any worse on the mic, so I'm going to go now. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I hope the quality of the video hasn't been too bad being out and about. And I will see you all next week, same time, 9 o'clock, Thursday morning, for a live video on cognitive bias. I don't know what bias I'm going to be talking about, but I will see you there. Thanks, everyone.